thanks everybody for joining. My name is Nicolás di Tada. I work for InSTEDD. InSTEDD is a nonprofit that does design, development, and implementation of technology for other organizations. We always work with an implementing partner. And while we recognize that every challenge or problem that we try to solve together with them is unique, in most of the situations we somehow manage to come up with a tool that we can use in other situations, basically by understanding some underlying issue or underlying problem that can be generalized outside of that particular intervention. And we always release those tools as open source and free software that others can use. So in this webinar, I wanted to share one of the latest tools that we have been working on. We've used this in a number of projects with a lot of success, and we are quite happy about the possibilities of it. It's basically a tool that will allow anybody without development or programming knowledge to be able to build SMS applications in a matter of minutes. And by building SMS applications, I mean like building actual scalable, robust SMS applications that can handle like millions of SMSs and that can be flexible and have an interesting flow and logic and different behaviors. So I thought about the idea of building together a little application to be able to send breaking news to subscribers. So I'll start sharing my screen and we'll go through the process of creating this application. I'll make a few pauses in between for questions. I don't want to talk for like half an hour and lose half of the people in between. So I'll try to do a little bit of the application, and then we'll talk about what we did and answer questions if there are any, and then we'll keep iterating in adding a bit more behavior and functionality to the application. Anybody can go to this URL. You don't need to do it now. In fact, I prefer you not to do it right now. But this is an open URL. It's still our staging server, meaning that we are still testing and working on this before the final release. But if you want to play with this after our webinar, you're welcome to register an account. You can just sign in there and start playing with it. So we start by creating an application on clicking there, create application. And you give it a name. We're going to give this breaking news name. And applications are formed by what we call triggers. There are a number of different triggers that we can create, but we're only going to be using the message trigger right now. So I'll start by creating a new trigger, and I'll give this a name subscription. So we basically add functionality to the application right now to allow people to subscribe. So we are going to think that there are a number of different topics that people can subscribe to, and we want to be able to push notifications, to push little breaking news only to subscribers that are interested in different topics. So the way mBuilder works is you write an example of the message that you want to react to, right? So we're creating this trigger for a specific type of message. So subscribe is a tricky word to write through SMS. So we'll do something simpler, and we'll tell people that if they want to subscribe to a topic, they need to send get and the topic they are interested in. So let's say, for example, sports, right? So once I have this sample message, we can see on the right here that we have a little section called tables. I'll create a new table by clicking on new table, and then I'll give this a name. So we'll name it subscriber. And I'll add a new column named phone number, and another column named topic. So what I want to store here in this table is the phone number of the person that subscribed or that it's interested in a specific topic and the topic he subscribed to, right? So to be able to store information here, the way mBuilder works is you just drag and drop things around. So we are writing a behavior for this particular message that we typed here, And if you read here, it's saying that when a message like this is received from a specific phone number, this is just an example that we use as a placeholder for the sender, right? So this is the sender phone number. So we want to store the sender phone number in this particular table, and I'll just drag and drop here, and you can see that a little pill gets created here that says create a subscriber with 1, 2, 3, 4, blah 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 as the phone number, right? And then I'll just select the word sports here. When I select a piece of text inside a sample message, it gets transformed into a pill that I can drag and drop. So I'll just drag and drop this pill to the topic column, and that will create a new action here that says store sports as a topic of subscriber, right? So by now, this trigger is already reacting to things that have this form, get, and anything that comes after can change, right? It doesn't need to be sports. It can be money or economy or whatever the person sends. And now we want to be able to give some feedback to the person that subscribes. So we are going to click on Add Send Step here, and we are going to say something like, thanks, you are now subscribed. And we can drag and drop what he sent, right? We don't want to write sports because we want that to be dependent on what the person sent. So we're going to drag and drop sports here. And we want to send this message to the same person that sent the get message. So we'll just drag and drop the sender to here, right? So this is basically the full behavior for subscription, right? We have a message that says get and something that follows after that get keyword. We create a new record in the subscriber table with the phone number of the sender, and then we store the word that he sent after get as the topic of that same record, and then we send a little message confirming that he actually subscribed successfully to that specific topic. So now we'll save this. Once that is saved, we want to create a new trigger to allow journalists to actually be able to push this this notification. So we are going to call this like something like push new. And the form of the message could be something like push the topic that we want to push this news, and we'll call it sports. And then we can write something like Germany won the World Cup. I'm Argentinian, but I don't care too much about the World Cup, so I can write that. Yeah. So the way to use this now is similar to what we did before, right? But instead of storing information, we want to start by filtering the table of subscribers with the topic. So we are going to also double-click or select the text of sports here, and instead of dragging and dropping to the new value area here, we're going to drop it on the column, right? And by dropping it on the column, you'll see that we create a new action that says select subscriber where topic is sports. So we're basically filtering the table subscriber by the keyword that we got after the push text here, right? So in this case, we're only getting the subscribers that sent sports in their subscription message. So we want to once we have this filter, we want to send that actual message to the people that subscribe, right? So we are going to click on Add Send Message here, and we are going to select the text after sports, which is the text that we want to send. We're going to drag and drop that text to send this message. So we're basically creating a new message using the last portion of the text, and we are going to drag and drop the subscriber phone number bill here, which is basically the result of the filter of the selection that I did. So we are sending this message to every match that we got out of filtering select subscriber where the topic is sports. I'll save this now. So we're going to make a little pause here. I'm going to show you how this actually works, and we are going to try to give it a real live test. And bear with me with the risk of doing a live real demo, but we'll give it a try. It's always more interesting to do that than just to pretend it was working. So there's a little tab here that's Messages. Messages allows you to test from inside the tool how it works. We're going to start by seeing it here, but in a minute we'll set up an SMS gateway and we'll give it a true ride. So let's say that we have a sender whose number is, I don't know, 222. Let's make it easy to remember. And he sends something like get, and we'll subscribe to a topic called money, for example. So if I click send here, I'll get a list of actions here explaining what happened, how the system reacts. So we can see here that it's executing this trigger that we named subscription. So that's good because it matched the get that I wrote there. And then it's sending a message to the sender, which is the number 222, saying, thanks, you are now subscribed to money. So remember that we created the example for the trigger with the keywords sports, but now I sent money after this, and it's completely matching the same trigger I'm reacting. And we also can see here that we created a subscriber with phone number 222 on the topic money. If you go to data here, you will see that there's a table subscriber, which is the one that we created from inside the trigger, but it's available across the application. And we have a new record here with the phone number of the person that we sent just a minute ago and the topic that he subscribed to. So we are going to create another subscriber. This time could be 333, and we are going to send the same thing, get money. Let's do that. And just to make it a little bit more interesting, we're going to send a 444 get sports, right? Just to make sure that we are not sending something to somebody that didn't subscribe to that. So if we go to data here, you'll see we have these three records now, 222, 333, and 444. Money is a topic that the two first were interested in, and sports is the topic for the third one. So now if I, from messages, say we send something from 111 saying push money, we'll see here that we are matching this other trigger, the push news trigger, and that the system is sending this message twice to the phone numbers that registered for that topic, but not for the 444 who registered for sports. So let's try to do this for real. I want you to see how easy it is to go from designing this application to actually testing it for real and to be able to scale it and deploy it in a real live scenario. And so far, I think it's been like, I don't know, 20 minutes or so, and we already have an application that it's working. So we go to channels here. Channels are the SMS gateways, the means by which your application can actually send and receive SMS. We have a number of different providers that we support. Clickatel is probably the one people are more familiar with. Twilio is another pretty good provider. It doesn't have phone numbers in most of the countries we probably work with. One of the choices that you'll have here as well is to use a local gateway. Local gateways are Android phones that act as a gateway. We can talk about that if we have a little bit more time. But what I want you to understand is that you can go from a single Android phone acting as your gateway and sending and receiving your SMSs, or you can connect Clickatel and send millions of messages from the same application. So it's very easy to scale from a quick prototype that you're doing on the field just to test out things and get some initial feedback to actually just connect the same application to a bigger gateway and be able to handle a real-life load of millions of messages. So we're going to use Twilio, which is the easiest thing to set up and to test for real. Twilio is a US-based company that provides a lot of services for building SMS and IVR applications, but it's very easy to register a new phone number and use that. If you register a Twilio account, you'll see that in the main screen you have two numbers here. In order to connect your Twilio application to mBuilder, you just need to copy-paste these two numbers, right? It's not important what they are. You just need to make sure that you don't share them broadly. And once I connect this application, I will get a list of the phone numbers that I register with Twilio. In Twilio, you can just go to numbers, buy a number, and you'll pay a couple dollars, and you'll be able to select a number that you like, right? So it's very easy to buy numbers. They have a lot of different countries. Again, probably not most of the countries we work with, but it's not something that works only in the US. So you might be lucky and find a number that works for you. Once I had selected the number, I'll just click on Create Channel. And I need to give this a name. We'll call this Twilio instead. And now I have already connected this number, right? So by now my mBuilder application is already reacting to messages that I'm sending and receiving from this number. Can you see this number here that I just put on the screen? The 1347. Okay. So I want you to send a message there with get and either sports or money. And we'll start seeing these SMSs coming in a few seconds, and we'll give this a try. I'll try to send some news, and you should receive one of the two. So send get and money or sports. Don't send both, so we can try this selection functionality. I'll leave this on a side, and let's go to. So I see already that at least 2 people could subscribe to money. Apparently nobody's interested in sports. See. There's okay. So we have a get sports already. I'll give people a few more seconds to subscribe, so everybody gets the chance to interact a little bit with the system. This is going to keep working after we finish, so you can still play a little bit with it. So all right. So if I could use my cell phone to send this, but you would not see what I do. So I'll just use this messages tab from here. And send a message from this little functionality inside the tool. It works exactly the same if I send it from here or I send it from outside. But I want you to be able to see what I do here. So I'll just give it a fake number, and then I'll send push, and we'll do the same money test for like economy. Economy grew 1%. Right, and you can see here that we are matching the correct trigger, and we sent this message to the 2 fake subscribers that we created initially, but we also sent the message to the real people here. And I don't know who those are, but I hope they received the SMS. So if you are there in the office and you can confirm that you actually got it, would be nice.
Yeah, we got it.
Great. That's good. It's working. The worst part is over now. So let's give it a try and send something to the ones that subscribe to sports and say push sport and write like Germany won the World Cup. I hope there aren't any fellow citizens watching me write this. So, all right. So we sent this message to 4 subscribers here. So those people should be receiving the SMS in a matter of minutes. So I'll make a little pause here and see if there's a few questions or things that you want to clarify before moving forward.
This is Seamus over at the ICT team in DC. I'm curious, by the way, it looks awesome. I hadn't been able to check out this tool yet, and it's really exciting. But I'm curious about the triggers, if there's a way to like export or save or write them like myself, like a scripting language, so that we can create lots of triggers that might be reused throughout projects.
We're working on that. We want to be able to create a sort of a market where people can share this. You might be familiar with things like if this then that, for example, which allows you to create like recipes that react to different things. So we basically want to be able to allow people to design triggers or applications and then say, well, this is a template for a chat group or something like that. Right now, we can export these applications, and you can save them locally. So there's this export functionality here that allows you to save a file that contains all the triggers and then import it again. So you can. It's a bit rudimentary still. There isn't a place where you can share this. But we're thinking about like building something simple where we can upload these files and just allow people to make a copy of that into their own accounts. But I think that for now this should provide for that particular need that you mentioned.
Great, yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
No, you're welcome. All right, so let me move forward, and we'll try to add a little functionality here. One of the things that you will realize as soon as you start doing this is that if you're the journalist doing this and you're in the middle of nowhere without access to this to the online application, you send push sports, Germany won the World Cup, and you don't have any feedback, and you're always going to be like, well, did this work? Did it send anything? Did it understood what I said? So we want to add a little bit of feedback to the person that sent the message, right? So to do so, we are going to just add a new send this message step. We want to send a new message to the sender, right? So we are just going to drag and drop the same way we did before, the sender of the original message to the recipient of this confirmation message. And we are going to write something like your message was sent to, and this time we are also going to drag and drop the subscriber phone number. This was a list of all the people that matched the filter by sports. But if you right-click on this field, you can see that instead of the list of values, we can change this into a count of the values, right? So if I select that count, what I'm going to get is the number of subscribers that match that particular filter. So we can write something like your message was sent to I don't know, 5 subscribers. And this is a very nice confirmation because it's not only telling me that it understood the message, but it's also telling me how many messages it triggered, right? So what is the audience that this was distributed to? So if we go back again to messages here, and I say 111, push sports, I don't know, I don't want to keep writing the same, but team A won over B, just to make it clear that it's doing something different each time. You'll see that I get this response to my phone number saying your message was sent to 6 subscribers, right? So it's very easy to add this new behavior. Something else that we could try to add here would be to so right now I'm sure you're thinking about trying it, but right now if you send push sports or something like this, it's going to allow you to send this to everybody, right? We don't want subscribers to the service to be able to say, well, particularly, at least in not this particular example, right? We could design another system where we want everybody to be able to push news to everybody else. But in this particular scenario, we only want registered journalists to be able to push news. We don't want anybody to be able to do so. And right now, anybody can send that message. So we'll need a little bit of a more advanced functionality to do this, but we're going to go to the push trigger, and we are going to try to add a condition to say, okay, if this person is not registered as a journalist, then he cannot send this message. So I'm going to create a new table here and name this table journalist. And we only need to track the phone number, for example, right now, right? So we add a new column, phone number. And what we want to do here is to drag and drop the sender phone number to the column phone number. So we want to filter this journalist table with the sender to see if there's actually somebody here, right? So we want to select the journalist where the phone number is this number that we got from here, right? And what we do now is I drag and drop this column, but instead of using the phone number column inside a message, I'll just drop it between the steps, right? So in the working area. And you'll see that we get a new field with a condition that allows me to say something like, if any of the journalist phone numbers equals this, right? Then do what's below. And you might notice that I don't really need to filter these. I could just leave the filter out and use the column that way. But I like this better a little bit more because it's more clear what I'm trying to do. So I'll just drag and drop these send messages inside here, right, to make sure that they are contained inside this condition. So what we get now is that only if any of the journalist phone numbers registered here matches the sender, do we send this message, right? We don't send this message if there's no match here. And something that we can add to be a little bit more nice to people is to add another message. Sorry, I'm going to first add another condition saying, sorry, not the journalist, drag and drop phone number. So we are going to say if all of the journalist phone numbers does not equal and the sender again. So if I don't have any match for this phone number, so if the sender is not registered as a journalist, we are going to send him a little message saying, sorry, you are not allowed to do this, right? So we'll send this message to this person saying, sorry, you are not registered as a journalist. Okay, so we'll save this now, and I'm going to go to messages again. And since we don't have anything, if I go to data here, we don't have any records in journalists, so nobody's registered as a journalist. So if I do the same thing that I did before, and I say push sports team A1, right? The reaction for this specific action should be to get this message, right? I'm getting a message, sorry, you're not registered, and nobody should have received anything. So if anybody received a message with team A1, please don't tell me because it's not working then. But I should have saw this here if it sent that message. So what we want to do now is to actually be able to register a journalist. The quickest way to do it right now would be to just go here, add a new record, and say I'm going to add my phone number here, 1-425-786-6262. Right? This is my real phone number, 425-786. Yeah. So I'm going to create a record for this. And if I now send a message, I'm going to send just to make it different this time, I'm going to send a message from my cell phone. So we are going to go to recent activity, and I'm going to type something like push. Let's send something to the money people. Push money, economy. Economy is collapsing. I'm a bit of a doomster. So I just send that message. So in a few seconds we should see it here. Yeah, you see it here. It came from here. it matched the trigger, and it didn't complain that I was not registered, right? So the validation passed, the condition passed, and I already heard a few messages there. And I'm not sure you can see my screen here. Is the video on? I think that the video is not on, right? Because I'm sharing my screen. But I basically got this same message here that you see here. Your message was sent to 4 subscribers as an SMS to my phone. So this is as much as I had prepared so far. I would love to hear if you have more questions, and if you don't have any questions, we can keep adding a little bit more functionality, and I can show you a few different things that you can do with this. But let's see if there's anybody that has another question. Is it possible to schedule messages to try to solve the numbers issue? No numbers for some of the countries we work in. Is it possible to connect the system to a locally hosted model with local SIM card? If yes, how technically complicated is that? Yes, it is possible to schedule messages, and let me show you how to do that, and then I'll answer the other question. So when I go to triggers, there's a little create periodic task here that allows you to create like a recurring message, right? So we can say like I don't know, maybe we could say weekly news, for example. And we could say that weekly on Mondays, let's change this, only on Mondays we want to send a message at this time, right? And we could send a message here to like all the subscribers, like the weekly news is blah blah. Not very creative, but if you drag and drop again the column here to here, we are going to be sending this message to everybody that is registered. If you wanted to time to delay the sending of these messages until this day, you would have to create a little bit more of a complicated thing where instead of sending the message in the trigger, you store that message in a new table. So for example, we could, I don't want to confuse everybody, but you could say like let's create a new trigger here and say like weekly register, let's say add weekly news, for example. So the journalist could send something like weekly this week we saw. So we create a new table here, and we call this table weekly news, for example, right? And we can register, we can create a column saying news, and then I'll just drag and drop this here to here, right? So we'll create a new weekly news with this week we saw a thunderstorm as news, right? So if I save this and I edit the periodic trigger, well, I didn't save that, but I'll open this again. What I could do here is say, okay, I want to send the things that I stored in this table when this periodic task runs. So that way I can time and like cluster all the messages in a single day or in a single time of the day. The second one was how easy it is to connect this to a local SIM card if you're working on a country that doesn't have the right like I don't know, aggregators or click-and-tell support or stuff like that. And the answer is that's very easy to do. The only thing that you need to do is you go to channels, you select this local gateway channel that you have here, and instead of connecting a Twilio account, what you'll be able to do is to say, I have an Android phone. I highly recommend this option. The other mobile phone is not very well supported. There are like some of the models of like Sony Ericsson and Motorola that works, others that we never tested. So it's hard to say which models that will work. So get a $200 simple Android mobile phone. We give it a name. We could call it Android local phone. We'll click on next. You can download an application by scanning this QR code or going to this specific URL click on next. This is a screen that you will see on your Android application, on your Android phone once you open the application that you download. So you'll see a little number in your screen. You type that number here, and once you type that number, your online account of mBuilder will be connected to your Android phone. So from there on, all the messages that Android local phone receives are going to be sent to mBuilder, and mBuilder is going to be sending all the messages that needs to send out to that Android phone. And again, I mean, yes.
Just real quick, sorry.
You stop screen sharing, so we missed what you were just showing us.
Oh, I stopped screen sharing?
Yes.
Sorry about that. I can share that again. Okay. So I went to channels. I selected from this drop down. I selected local gateway. Local gateway channel. It has a weird name. It's a bit of a legacy protocol and stuff. But you want to select the one that says local gateway. You click go. You are going to choose Android mobile phone. We give this a name. We call it Android local phone or something like that. Right. You're going to have to buy a local SIM card, make sure that the SIM card has enough credit, put the Android phone in a place where it has good reception, make sure the Android phone doesn't drain out the battery, so you want to plug it if possible. And you also need that Android phone to be connected to the internet. So it either has to have a 3G plan or it has to have a Wi-Fi connectivity, a Wi-Fi connection inside an office. Once you have that Android phone working, you scan this QR code or you go to this URL that will download an application to the phone. You will open that application and you will see a little number. Well, it's pretty big, a big number on the screen. You type that 4-digit number in this little box here. And once you do that and you click next, that will create a channel that is actually using that Android phone to send and receive messages. So your mBuilder application online will be connected to that Android phone and will send and receive messages from that Android phone from there on. And what I was saying before you mentioned I stopped sharing my screen was that there's always a limit for how many messages you can send and receive with Android phone. So you have to keep in mind that a plugged-in phone, a local gateway like this, can only send about 6 messages per minute. So if you have a very high load, this will not scale. But the nice thing about this design is by just changing the channel configuration, you can switch from a connection to an Android to a local phone, switch to a connection to a local telephone company that provided an HTTP connection or whatever you can find there. Is this system also integrated with VerVoice? Not for now. VerVoice, for those who might not know, is a similar concept, but for IVR, for voice applications. We are working on integrating these two applications, and that will be like something quite amazing because you'll be able to create both voice and SMS applications that interact and share the same underlying data, and then that can trigger each other's behavior. So if somebody could call a phone number or flash a number and then receive an SMS, or subscribe through SMS and then get a phone call and stuff like that. But for now, they are two separate systems. But it's in the roadmap. So hopefully, in the near future, we'll have that integration then. So is there a way to manage this system offline once the settings are created online, or any other options for non-internet connected places? Yes. So you can design the system in a way that you can manage the data of the tables by sending triggers, right? So you could, for example, you could create a trigger to register journalists. So you could have a magic keyword here that you don't want anybody to know. For example, I don't know, journalist, or you could call it journal, I don't know, 567, right? So that's like your secret keyword to register a new phone number. So we'll say this is the phone number for a journalist, and we register journalist, and then we'll just drag and drop this to the phone number column here. we can reply with you register phone number, and I drag 111 as a message confirmation to the sender, right? So if now you are the administrator of the system and you know that secret keyword to register new people, new journalists, you could send like I don't know, let's say 999, and I already forgot the secret keyword. It's so secret that I forgot it. It's journal 567. So 999 journal 567, and we'll send let's say 888. Okay, so 888 now should be able to send messages, right? We created a journalist with this phone number, so it worked well. So now if I send 888 from the phone number 888 and I send push money economy like this, if I send this, it allowed this person to do it. And just to verify that it's not doing the same with others, if I send it from 777, it's telling me that you are not registered as a journalist. So in that way you can create your own triggers to like manage the database and like add new journalists, or maybe query the news, or you could create a trigger to, for example, query how many subscribers there are for a specific topic. So query topic, for example, and you could say, I don't know, topic, and then something like sports, right? So we can select sports, filtered by sports, and then send a message saying there, and I drag and drop the subscribers, right click, select count of values, subscribers for topic sports, right? I'll just send this message to the sender, and now if I send from messages something like I don't know, 111 topic sports, you'll get this answer on your phone. So this is a way that where you can for you to like manage the system offline just by creating your own triggers that might not be the same triggers that you share with the users of the applications. These are going to be like internal triggers, so you might want to give them a tricky keyword so people don't use them by mistake. To understand data imports. So I guess that question is...
Actually, this question's for me. My name is Mahabash Taki, and I work with Seamus on the ICT programs team. What I actually really wanted to understand is if you want to export the data from your system, is there a way for us to get information from the system, and also is there a way for us to upload list of subscribers instead of manually adding them, or a list of registered journalists that we want to have access to the system?
So if you go to data, you can get a CSV or an Excel file of the data that it's here. So it's very easy for you to just export this information right now. There is a way to add data to the tables, but okay. So there isn't a way from this interface so far to be able to import data, right? So there's a way using the API which requires some technical knowledge to be able to add data. But what we're thinking about doing, and I would welcome any feedback about this, is to work on adding a little bit of functionality to actually connect a table to an external source. So let's say that you already have your maybe Google spreadsheet with a list of journalists, and you don't want to have to import that or copy paste or maintain that. So we want to add a little option here where you say add a Google spreadsheet collection, or add a Google spreadsheet table, and you'll see that Google spreadsheet table as another table that you can also query, or you can add stuff to, or you can like use information from there. So that will allow you to do what I think you might be wanting to do, which is maintain an external list of journalists or subscribers in a separate system that you can use for other things beyond this. Would that be helpful if we added like the chance to connect like a Google spreadsheet, for example, to this system and use it from there?
Absolutely. In fact, I would take it even a step further and see if there's a way, since you're already talking about APIs, how can this connect to, contact management systems? So if there's an open source contact management system like CiviCRM, can we directly pull information from a contact management system and, basically build that in there? So it's just not talking to a spreadsheet, where it's asking you to import a spreadsheet, but building up the API call such that it can talk to another system as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, technically it is possible. The same way, I mean, there's other resource map collection. Resource map is another tool that we have built. So the same way that we are connecting an external collection coming from a separate system would be the same way that we would use for connecting to, I don't know, Salesforce, for example, if you're using Salesforce or Google Spreadsheet. So it is technically possible for us to do that or for a programmer to do it, but right now that functionality is not in the system yet. So there isn't an easy way for you to do that right now.
I actually have a follow-up question to that as well.
Sure.
Is it possible to customize? I mean, I don't want to take the mic away from anyone else. So, Natalie, I believe you just feel free to cut me off. Is there a way to personalize these messages? So if instead of just contact phone numbers, could we also store people's names so they're getting personalized information that, where the messages are more customized? Because it's not, what if we want to use it for not just sharing news with them, but also like conducting surveys, for example.
Yeah.
Personalizing the message and also having a two-way conversation with someone where they type back a response and then we gather that information, so we almost are doing mobile surveys, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, you can take this anywhere. We did this example of the breaking news because I thought that it was relevant in a way, but you can design whatever you want. You can create surveys, you can create group chats, you can create a Twitter-like functionality. For example, if you wanted to ask people for their names to be able to personalize news in a way, when they subscribe, you could go here and edit and say, okay, you have to get sports and then your name. So I would send Nicolás, right? So we'll add another column here saying name, for example, and then I'll just drag and drop Nicolás here, right? So we're not only storing the phone number and the topic he's interested in, but we're also storing the name. And then you can use this little pill in the other triggers to customize the message and say, hello, Nicolás, we have sports news for you, blah, blah, and this is sports.
Perfect. Great. Thank you.
I saw another question from Anaí saying that it looks a bit complicated. So what we're trying to do, Anaí, is not to have to create a lot of training materials. We are working on, I mean, the way you see the application right now, it doesn't have any graphic design. So we're working on a graphic design for this that will allow people to understand the working of the system in a more intuitive way. It's not finished yet, so that's why I used the beta version without this design. But what we're aiming for is that when you start dragging and dropping something and moving stuff from here to there, you'll start seeing little hints around the application. Maybe it might be better if I show a few screenshots than this. But you'll start seeing hints around the application that tell you, well, drop this here to select, or drop this here to filter, or right here to do this or that. So we want the application to be self-teaching, self-learning in a way, instead of having to go through like training materials. We have, in fact, showed this to a number of partners or people that were interested in doing something and didn't have funding to do something from scratch, and they already went ahead and built their own applications without much training. So I guess that it'll depend in the sort of background or context the person comes from. If it's somebody that's used to, like, I don't know, maybe writing formulas or rules in Excel or has like a little bit of an understanding of what a database or a table is, it's easier to understand that you're like I don't know, somebody that comes from a completely different background. Yes. We're trying to make this an evolving tool based on customer needs and user needs. So all of the ideas and feedback are welcome.